Hi guys, so today we're talking about safe work habits. And so there are a few different things that we're going to go over. First is going to be falls. In your kitchen, preventing falls is really important. So don't leave objects or spills on the floors. Floors can become very slick when things are spilled on them, so you want to clean those up immediately. Use a stepladder rather than a chair. Chairs can sometimes slide or may not have like the security that a stepladder would. So use a stepladder. Rugs must have a non-skid backing. In our school and in most businesses, they have to be completely non-slip rugs. But in your own home, you may have like a typical cloth rug. You want to make sure that it has a non-skid backing so it's not going to fall or cause you to fall. First aid for falls. Don't move a person with broken bones unless necessary. If that person has a broken bone, it could cause the bone to like jab into other parts of their body. So don't move them unless it's absolutely necessary. Call medical help if headache, dizziness, vomiting, or speech impairment occur, because that could be signs of a concussion. For mild bruises and sprains, you may want to use ice or cold water cloths and elevation. For cuts, you would prevent cuts by keeping knives sharp so you don't have to push as hard. Sharp knives are safe knives. Never catch a falling knife midair. I know that our natural instinct is to try to catch something that's falling. With knives, you actually want to jump back so that you don't end up cutting yourself. Wash knives separately. They should never go into the bottom of your dishwater because it could be really difficult to see, and then you could reach in there and cause yourself to get cuts. Keep knives in a rack or separate from other equipment so that no one accidentally cuts themselves. Don't use knives for anything but cutting. That is what they're used for, so don't try to use it for anything else. You should never have like horseplay with knives. Keep fingers away from mixer blades. Cut lids completely off of cans and throw them out. And then if there's broken glass, make sure that you're sweeping it up rather than trying to pick it up. And then you're going to take a wet paper towel and wipe up the tiny pieces and throw it in the trash can. For our purposes, we're going to label the trash can with glass in trash can so that the custodians don't accidentally cut themselves. But you should always warn people, especially the people that are going to be taking out the trash, that there's glass in the trash can. First aid for cuts. Stop severe bleeding with the pressure of a thick cloth. And for minor cuts, wash with soap and water, blot dry, and bandage. In the class, I do not do anything with blood. I do not like blood. It grosses me out. So you will have to make sure that you're bandaging it yourself and cleaning up your own blood. For fires and burns, there are a couple other videos that I want you to watch over fires and burns as well, but we're going to go ahead and get started and go over some of the other information. So, preventing fires and burns, don't put flammable materials near hot appliances. You don't want to catch them on fire. Avoid loose clothing with long sleeves so that they aren't hanging over like flames and catching on fire. Use dry pot holders, not towels. Towels, if they're wet especially, can sometimes end up creating steam, and that steam can burn you. We've also had issues where towels are not flame resistant, and so they can catch on fire. Store flammable materials away from heat. Wipe off range after each use to avoid grease buildup. The range is like the stove top. You want to wipe it off so that it doesn't catch on fire. Turn pan handles in towards the back of the range. While you would think that you would want to hold on to the pan handles, it is very easy to knock a pan off of the stovetop if you have the pan handles facing outwards. Remove pan lids so the steam escapes away from you. You don't want to lift it straight off. You want to lift it with it going towards the back so that you don't burn yourself. Keep appliance cords out of the way. Use both hands to remove a pan from the oven so that you have a good grip on it. And you should have 2 oven mitts so that you're able to do that. And then turn off appliances when cooking is finished. In the case of a fire, turn off the appliance. You never want to throw water on a kitchen fire. If you throw water on a kitchen fire, it can create like instant steam that could cause like major burning. To extinguish a fire, you can use salt or a fire extinguisher. And then if your clothing catches on fire, stop, drop, and roll. And then crawl out of the room to get out of a smoke-filled room. For burns, avoid ointments because the grease and oil can actually trap in the heat. You want to place it under cool running water until the heat is like taken out of it. Choking and shock. First aid for choking: if the person can speak, cough, or breathe, do nothing. They will recover on their own. If the person can't speak, cough, or breathe, you need to give them the Heimlich. And only if you have been trained on that, doing the Heimlich should you give someone the Heimlich. Preventing electrical shock. Keep water away from electrical appliances. Don't place electrical cords near hot objects. You don't want to end up melting the protective coating on the cord to where you could end up with a major issue. Avoid octopus outlets. Those are the outlets that cause or that create the outlet into multiple plugins, and they can be dangerous. You want to use heavy-duty extension cords because the lightweight extension cords are not made for multiple appliances plugged into them or for industrial appliances plugged into them, and it could cause electrical shocks. Disconnect appliances before cleaning them. You don't want to immerse electrical appliances in liquid, just like you wouldn't want to get your computer wet. You don't want to get your kitchen equipment wet. Connect detachable cords to the objects, then plug them in. So like, for example, with your computer, you're technically supposed to plug the cord into your computer before you plug it into the wall. I know that many of us do not do that, but in an industrial or a business setting, this could be extremely dangerous if it is a heavy-duty appliance. Don't use damaged appliances. Use only a wet, dry vacuum on a wet floor. There are specific types of vacuums that are able to suck up water. Most regular vacuums will become destroyed or cause electrocution if you try to vacuum up water. It has to be a wet, dry vacuum to vacuum up water. Then keep metal away from working parts of an appliance so that you don't damage it or so that you don't pass electric current onto your body. First aid for electrical shocks. You don't want to touch a person connected to electricity because that would just transfer the electric shock to you. So turn off the power, pull the plug, or pull the person away with a cloth loop. The cloth would prevent you from getting that electrical current. And then administer CPR. Contaminants, poisoning, and foodborne illness. We went over some contaminants in the previous screencasts, but this is also important information that you would need to know. So, preventing poisoning. You want to use original containers with labels. They're going to have information on poison control and what to do if somebody accidentally ingests a chemical. It is really important to know so that if, like, say a child or someone accidentally consumes a chemical, they're able to get the help that they need. For example, my older sister, when she was little, she went into a hardware store with my parents and she saw like a blue floor cleaning liquid. She was like, "Oh, it's Kool-Aid." And my parents were like, "No, it's not Kool-Aid." But then they turned around to talk to an employee, and when they turned back around, my older sister had started drinking the chemical. And she was like, "Ugh, not Kool-Aid." So, because the chemical was in its original container, they were able to look at that and see the number for poison control and get the help that she needed. You want to securely close and lock cabinets, especially in areas that children could get into the chemicals. Store chemicals on high shelves away from food containers. You don't want it leaching chemicals into your food. Follow antidote directions in a well-ventilated area if poisoning occurs because you don't want them to continue to breathe in the chemical. Never mix compounds such as bleach and ammonia. Again, another story that I have. When I was working in a grocery store, I had a friend that was trying to clean the drains in the kitchens at the store. And he took bleach and lime begone and mixed those together with some water and was trying to use that. And when he poured those chemicals together, he saw this like gas cloud come up. And we all started to feel really dizzy and have problems. And that was because when you mix bleach with any other cleaning solution, you can create a chlorine gas. Chlorine gas is poisonous. And so it's really important not to mix chemicals like that because it can be very dangerous. Use charcoal and hibachi grills outside only because you don't want to have a whole bunch of smoke inside of a building. First aid for poisoning, call for medical help, and if possible, use the antidote on the label. Most businesses require safety data sheets that explain antidote instructions. If there are fumes, get the person to a well-ventilated area so they're not continuing to breathe in that chemical. And then if the eyes are irritated, flush them with water. Causes of foodborne illness. Some causes are going to be contaminants. We talked about that previously, but there are substances that may be harmful that have gotten into food, and microorganisms, including parasites, are types of contaminants. Bacteria, it's going to become harmful when the count becomes too great. There's always some amount of bacteria in your food, but when it gets too great, it can become a toxin and become a major problem. Some examples of foodborne illness are botulism, that can be found in tinted cans, Campylobacters, E. coli, which is found in your intestines, Listeria, that they had on melons a while back, Salmonella, which is found in eggs and chicken commonly, and then Staphylococcal, which is naturally found on your skin. Keeping food safe. Personal cleanliness is very important. You want to wash your hands before food, or preparing food, after sneezing, etc. Keep hair away from your face. It must be tied back because no one wants your food or your hair in their food. Wear a clean apron. Don't handle food with an open cut. Put a bandage on it and then a glove over it. Don't use the same taste testing spoon. Nobody wants like your saliva in their food. Wash your hands after handling raw meat and eggs because it can carry a lot of bacteria. Then with kitchen cleanliness, you want to wipe up spills and remove dirty utensils. Keep your area clean. Wash the cutting board, especially after meat is cut on it because you could cross-contaminate. Don't wipe your hands on a dish towel. Dish towels are used only for drying dishes. There's paper towels for drying your hands, especially in businesses. Use hot soapy water on dishes. Don't store food under the sink because that's gross. I don't know why someone would want to store food under the sink, but sometimes sinks can leak and that can cause like bacteria and things to get on your food. Lastly, we have preparation and storage. You want to keep hot food hot and cold food cold so that it's not in that temperature danger zone. You also want to check the temperature of your storage units. In businesses, they are required to have thermometers on their refrigerators to make sure that they are staying cold enough. And then hot cases also have a temperature gauge to make sure that they are keeping the foods hot enough. You want to keep your refrigerator clean. Use freezer wrap so that things are not getting freezer burn or being exposed to open air. Thaw frozen food in the refrigerator, not on the counter. And then put foods away promptly. They should not be out more than 4 hours. So that is food safety, the safe work habits. There is also 2 other videos that you need to watch on Canvas about how to put out fires and why we never throw water on a kitchen fire. So make sure that you watch those videos.